This is Entrepreneur Radio, maximizing your personal and business results by leading with your heart. With your host, Terri Levine. Listen every week as Terri tackles the topics that will help you become a successful heart-centered entrepreneur. Be sure to read the blog posts at www.heartrepreneur.com/blog. Come back often and add this show to your favorite RSS feed or subscribe in iTunes. You can also follow Terri on Twitter at MentorTerri and on Facebook.com/Heartrepreneur Terri Levine. And now here's Terri.
Hi, and welcome to Heartrepreneur Radio and TV show with Terri Levine. I'm your co-host, Velma Gallant, and I'm excited to be here today. You can connect with Terri, me, and other like-minded, heart-based business owners in the Heartrepreneurs with Terri Levine Facebook group, so go check it out. And if you like our show, be sure to hit that like button, and we always love those 5-star reviews. Our quote for today is, "Far more important than what you do is the reason why you are doing it." Rochelle E. Goodrich. And today's topic is why power versus willpower. Our special guest today is Gary Sanchez. Struggling to stand out in the crowded dental marketplace led him on his quest to learn about the power of why. He found that many experts talk about the need to know your why, but none helped him actually discover his why. His obsession with why led him to discovering his own why, as well as the process for helping others to discover theirs. Applying his why to his dental practice took his practice from just getting by to having an abundance and the development of the Why Institute to help other businesses. Dr. Sanchez and his team have now worked with over 40,000 individuals as well as 500 companies, from small yoga studios to Fortune 500 companies, helping them get clear, stand out, and play bigger. Welcome to the show, Gary.
Velma, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I am super stoked to have you here. I know that I know you know that I am certified for the YOS process, and I have loved the impact that it has made, not only in who I am out in the world, but who I am inside. So actually, let's start with a little bit about your experience and how you came to develop the Why operating system and the Why discovery process.
Great. So I graduated from USC Dental School here in 1988. And the advice from the gurus of that time, the dental gurus, was build a great product and people will come, right? You ever heard that? Go out and just do a great job, do the best that you can. People will naturally find out about you and they'll come see you. And so I did that. I spent 20 years going to the best of everything I could find to educate myself and my talents to be a premier dentist. I built a beautiful facility, very well-trained team, all the latest technology, all the stuff. I had all the what's, but I didn't have my why. And so I didn't stand out from everybody else who did what I did, right? I would say I'm a dentist, and who I'm talking to, it's, oh yeah, my nephew's a dentist too. You know, they're right out of dental school. And so I didn't stand out, and my practice wasn't growing. In fact, it was getting smaller and smaller. It was getting more and more refined. And I had a practice filled with patients that were completed. They didn't need any more treatment for many years. And so I became very disillusioned with this. And I got to the point where I was either going to quit or I was going to find a better way. And so that's when I heard about this concept of why we do what we do. I saw Simon Sinek's TED Talk, right? I saw that probably 30 times. I read his book 4 or 5 times. And I was like, man, that is what I'm missing, Velma. I'm missing my why. I know what I do, but I don't know why. And so I called Simon. This is back in 2010. And I said, Simon, I need you to help me discover my why. And he's like, well, that's not really what I do, but let's see what we can come up with. So we spent about 8 months together going back and forth trying to figure out my why. And once I did, my why is to find a better way and then share it. And once I realized what my why was, my life made so much more sense to me. I've got lots of patents and products and inventions that are all better ways of doing things. Everything in my life is about finding a better way and then sharing it. And so I took what I learned from Simon, and I took what I learned from some of my other mentors, and I changed the messaging in my marketing, in my website, in what we talked about, from talking about what we do, crowns, bridges, fillings, all that kind of stuff, to what we believe. We believe that life is better with great teeth. And so when we switched our messaging and our marketing, my practice took off. It went from just having 4 to 6 new patients a month for my brother and I, which is barely surviving, to 35 to 45 new patients a month, which in our practice, a new patient is worth about $6,000. So it had a very significant impact for us. Most fun, most satisfaction, most enjoyment. It was just a great time. I can tell you abundance is a lot better than just getting by. And so
Absolutely.
as my practice took off, I started getting calls from other dentists that I'd been studying with for me to help them do what I did. And so I developed all the processes and systems for helping people go down the same path that I went on. So when like I said, my why is to find a better way. So I figured out a better way to help people discover their why. So instead of taking 6 or 8 or 10 months, I could help somebody in about an hour. So Velma, you and I could sit down and I could take you through this process. And in about an hour, I could help you develop your why, discover your why, and then develop your messaging and your marketing, your branding all around that, so that you could then use that to attract the right people to your business. So I started with dentists. I worked with probably over 150 dentists. Then lawyers started calling me, and then chiropractors and financial groups. And then the businesses started getting bigger and bigger and bigger until, now I've done it with $500 billion companies, helping them get clear on who they are. And then how do you articulate that message so that it's real and authentic, so you attract the right people to you? When I did this, so Velma, I became obsessed with helping people discover their why. So if you were sitting next to me on an airplane, you were going to get your why discovered. And think about what I do, right? As a dentist, well, I'm waiting for you to get numb. You're going to get your why discovered. And so I did this so many times that I started to notice patterns and trends and similarities. And I figured out that there's only 9 different whys. And once I figured that out, that's when I was able to create the algorithm and write the software that we all now use, called the Why Discovery. So you can go online now and discover your why in about 5 minutes, which seems impossible. But what I did is I used logic-based programming so that there's about 1,500 possible question options. But to go through the why discovery, you're only going to have to answer about 10 questions. So that's it in a nutshell. Now we are able to scale, as you know, because you use it. There's a way now that I can, when I'm speaking at big events, I can have the entire audience discover their why. So we're no longer talking about this concept of why, but we're actually talking about your why. And I know your why is to contribute to a greater cause, add value, have an impact in the lives of other people. And so it makes sense now when we look at what you're doing from the perspective of why you do it. Does that feel right?
It does. It absolutely does. And what I love about the process is that it's not an out there why. Like the why I do everything is for my family, which is not to say that those whys are less valuable. But it's not an external why, it's an internal why. Yeah. And I might have taken the discovery questions because I know I have access to them again and again and again. It came out contribute every time. So there is no doubt in my mind who I am. And I did go through the full operating system as well to get to who I am and who I be in the world. Right. Yep. And so for me, mine was contribute. And how I do that is I challenge the status quo. I challenge the way people look at things. And what I bring to the table are simple solutions. And when I discovered that, and I looked back on my life to see where that actually fit in, I was blown away by what I learned, because what I noticed was in my career, in those particular occupations or jobs where I was fully expressed in my full operating system, I was happy as punch. I loved my job, and I was doing a great job in those jobs.
Mm.
And then those same, it could be similar roles, but where I was not able to express myself. So the what was the same, but who I got to be in there was different. I was unhappy. I was miserable. I couldn't wait to get home. I didn't want to be going to the job, but because my why is contribute, it's like, well, but I can't give up. I
Yep.
still need to make a difference, right? And so there was a lot of conflict inside of me in those places where I was not expressing my full why operating system. And that is where I see where our show topic fits in: why power versus willpower. In those jobs where I was fully expressed in my why operating system, that was my why power getting me through. Whereas in those jobs where I was not fully expressed, I had to rely on willpower to get me through.
You're right on track with that. And when let's just define those two. So your audience has an idea what we're talking about. So when you think about willpower, when you look in the dictionary under willpower, they say it's effortful restraint, effortful restraint.
Okay.
Whereas why power is effortless action. It's fun. It's where where you want to be. It's what you're good at, where you're appreciated for that gift that you have. Whereas willpower is effortless restraint or control of your impulses. Where willpower is where you get to live what you want to be doing. And so which one do you think is going to have more long-term power? Right? You're going to run out of energy, just like you said, if you're focused in on willpower. Yeah, you can do it for a short period of time or a finite period of time. But when you get to live your why power, it's unlimited. You'll do it all day and all night, and you'll have unlimited energy for it. And so that's where we want to spend our time, right? I mean, you just said that exactly. That's where you'd rather be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, I noticed that the sticking power with respect to different things, I wasn't in the roles where I was unhappy. I was checking out the want ads.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, I'm not happy here. Where else could I be happy? And the same thing goes with being an entrepreneur, taking on tasks that don't fit my why and why I am the way I am. Those are the ones I delegate. Those are the ones I need to give to someone else because I know they're going to excel at it. My virtual assistant, her why, because I had her do it, is mastery. And I have to admit, she kind of balked at that initially, but we had a bit more of a conversation around it, and she understood that, yeah, that's you don't because of her role as a virtual assistant and her desire that everything that I do for you is exactly what you need, and I'm giving you every bit of it. I'm not giving you half of the information. I'm giving you all of the information. I'm not giving you half of the job. I'm giving you all of the job. She understood that it made sense to her. And then, but part of where she was fighting it is that she is a contribution to people, but the way she contributes is at that mastery level, right? It was so fascinating to walk through the process with her as she got to observe who she be in her business. And so, because mastery is not mine, that is not where I live. To have an assistant that has that mastery is brilliant. It totally expands my team. And I think that too, when we bring why power to our teams, that we, again, it's makes our business that much more viable.
Yeah. So what you're saying there is, when you want to create a team of inspired people around you, because that's the kind of team that you want. If you're building a business, if you're building an organization, you want to create an inspired organization. So how do you do that? The way you do that is by putting the right people on the bus and in the right seat. And that, again, is a great concept, but how do you do that? Well, when you know their why operating system, you'll know exactly what they will love to do. And so you put them in a place where you know they're going to love it. Then everyone on your team is playing to their strength. That's how we build our organization. That's how the companies that we work with build their organizations, putting the right people in the right place. And so that's what makes it fun. But in order to do that, you have to know their why. So you can't just kind of fake it. You know, what we used to do in the past is we'd look at their resume and we'd look at the things that they're capable of doing. And then we would put them in that place, and then we'd sneak off to our office and we'd put our hands together and we'd start praying, and we'd hope that we put the right person in the right place. And sometimes we did, and sometimes we didn't. Wouldn't it be nice to always know that?
And how many times do we make those decisions based upon how we click with that person, right? So I'm a contribute. I'm going to click with contributes, and we're going to have great conversations, and we're have brilliant ideas, and nothing will get done.
You got it. So that's the thing. The audience yet doesn't know all the 9 whys yet, but there are certain whys that are good for certain things. And I've seen in working with some of the most successful businesses around the country who they have on their team. And there are certain whys that you have to have on your team. One of them being the why of right way, doing things the right way in order to get results. And these are structure, process, systems people. So it's not hard to find ideas. What can be challenging is implementing those ideas. So we can sit around and brainstorm, but if that's all that we do, what did we accomplish? Not much. But if you have somebody on your team with the why of right way, they're the ones that'll say, okay, I can make that happen. And then they take it and create the structure around getting results, predictable, consistent results. So you can build your team in a way that you'll get to where you want to go, where you've got an inspired company going in the right direction to reach your vision. That's how you do that. And you've got to know their why in order to do that. So like you said at the beginning, Velma, there's a lot of people that talk about the why. Pretty much every coach, every consultant, and every guru says, you got to know your why. And that's great to say that. But if you don't know it, what good does that do? It just frustrates you. Yeah, I got to know my why, but what is my why? How do I find my why? Well, now you have a way to do it. So if you're listening to this, just go discover your why. You'll see yourself from a completely different perspective.
Speaking of which, that is a great segue into, can you please share with our listeners how they can reach you and the work that you do?
Yeah, so go to whyinstitute.com. And if you go to whyinstitute.com, there'll be a button there that says discover your why. Go discover your why. And then you'll have that clarity. You'll be able to go from wondering to knowing, or thinking to being sure, or feeling to having that confidence. That's when it's useful for you. You can also find me on and the Why Institute on LinkedIn, Facebook, pretty much every social media outlet, but really your first step. So this is what we believe. We believe that the essential first step in self-awareness is discovering your why. There are a lot of great assessments out there, Velma. DISC, Colby, Myers-Briggs. I mean, you can go on, and they are really powerful. They're really good, but they're not your why. Those are how you take action, but not why you take action. So the first step is knowing your why. And then those other assessments, they'll be so much more valuable for you when you see them from the perspective of your why. So that's the first step. So maybe you're listening to this and you're trying to figure out what direction you want to go, where you want to spend your time, where you're going to find your passion. And you're not sure what to do. If you go discover your why, you will be very clear on what to do. You know, as we get older, Velma, we kind of find out that we can probably do anything. You know, we're pretty good at most anything. But it's, where do you want to spend your time? Where do you want to where will your passion be? So if what you do is in line with why you do what you do, you will have passion for what you do. And passion is that fuel that gives you the energy to pursue your dreams, right? Being a heartpreneur is not easy. Not easy, right? When you need passion to hang in there. And so that's where that comes from.
Absolutely. And I think too, I'm going to suggest that going even deeper into the full operating system is super valuable. I think that one of the things I want to emphasize is that as a entrepreneur, we are contributing to the people that we impact, that we are doing business with and for. And so I would actually caution some of our entrepreneurs that if you get something different from contribute, because I know that's where most of our hearts lie, is we want to be a contribution to people. But how we're a contribution through our why can be a little bit different. Mm-hmm. I know that I've some of the people that I've completed why discoveries with, they weren't happy with what they got because they thought they should be contribute, because that at the end of the day is what they feel is why they're doing what they're doing. And with a little bit more discussion and discovery around the whys and the full operating system, it ended up making a lot more sense for them because contribute was in there. But that was the end result of what they were doing, not necessarily why they did it the way they did it.
Yeah. So the why operating system for the listeners is your why, your how, and your what. Why you do what you do, how you bring that to life, and then what others can count on from you. So, for example, in Velma's case, her why is to contribute to a greater cause, add value, have an impact in the lives of other people. How she does that is by getting them to think outside their box, think above what's been limiting them, challenging the way they've typically been doing things. And then ultimately what she brings is a simple solution so that they can move forward. She brings it to them in a way where they can actually do something with it. And so that's an awesome why, how, and what, which is her why operating system for what she does. It's perfect. And so my why operating system, my why is to find a better way and share it. How I do that is by making things clear and understandable. And then ultimately what I bring is a simple solution so that people can move forward. So my why is to find a better way. My how is making things clear. And my what is making things simple so that people can use it. And so now you have a lot more insight into who I am and who you're talking to. And where that helps you, back to Velma, I now know exactly how to talk to her. I know the language that she speaks. So instead of using the golden rule, which is treat everybody like you would like to be treated, now I can speak to Velma in a way that she would like to be talked to. That's the platinum rule. Treat others like they would like to be talked to. So I know what's going on in her head. I know how she thinks. I know what's important to her. And I know what she needs to hear in order to make a decision. It has to be able to make a difference. It has to be different and challenge the way things are currently done. And it has to be simple or she's not interested in it. Does that feel right, Velma?
It absolutely does. And I think too, the value in being the leader of my company and making sure that I understand my team is I get to speak to them in their language, what makes sense to them. But they also, if they know mine, they also have that opportunity with me. And so with your team, with them knowing your why, how does it make it easier for the back and forth interaction with you and your team?
Oh, so much easier because they know my why is a better way, to find a better way and share it. So here's one of the funny things they do. They used to bring me like say we had to create a marketing piece or we had to create some content, and they would go and work on it and coming back and show it to me. Here it is. We're ready to go. And then of course my why is to find a better way. So what am I going to do? Right? I'm going to find I'm going to make it better. So now they've realized that every time they give me something, they always say, here is a draft. What do you think of it? Because it can hurt their feelings if they feel like it's done and then I go and make it better.
Mm-hmm.
So now we realize that everything to me is a draft, because I'm going to find something to make better, and nobody's feelings gets hurt, and we continually make it better. So they know how I think. They know I'm not trying to discount what they did. I'm just always looking to make it better. So the communication can be fun versus kind of hurt somebody's feelings. Does that make sense?
It does. And what I'm also hearing is that if I had a project that I wanted your buy-in on, it'd be like, well, here's how it makes it better.
Exactly. So here's another thing that's really important to know about when you know your why operating system. And this is what's great for all the entrepreneurs. What's great about the YOS is that it not only helps you understand yourself and why you're doing what you're doing and why you picked what you picked to focus on, but it also gives you the words to express it. It gives you the words to market it in an authentic and clear way. So let me give you an example that's easy to understand. And let's go with Steve Jobs, because everybody knows him and everybody knows Apple. Steve Jobs' why operating system is, his why is to challenge the status quo. His how is to find a better way. And his what he ultimately brings is a simple solution. And if you look through his life, you will see that playing out over and over and over. But when you take that and apply it to Apple, Apple is a reflection of Steve Jobs. In everything they do, they challenge the status quo, right? They challenge the phone industry with the iPhone. They challenge the computer industry with the Mac. They challenge the watch industry with the Apple Watch. In everything they do, they challenge that industry. They go in, they find a better way to do it. And then ultimately what they bring is a simpler solution, so that somebody who's 3 years old and somebody who's 93 years old can use it. And so Apple is a reflection of Steve Jobs. What is Apple's tagline, right? Think different. Where do you think that came from? Came directly from Steve Jobs. Same thing for all of you that are listening. Your organization, your business is a reflection of you, if you're the leader or the visionary. That messaging that you're going to use to market it authentically, that you're going to use to attract the right people to you, is going to come directly from your why operating system. So when you know it, you'll know what to say that will feel right and attract the right people. Because ultimately what you're looking for are people that believe what you believe. Those are your ideal client. Those are the ones that value you, appreciate you, refer to you, if they believe what you believe. So in your case, Velma, you're looking for people that want to make a difference in the world. You're looking for people who lead with their heart. And why? That's exactly why you're part of the organization that you are. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. It totally makes sense. That is one of the main reasons why I connected with Terri 18 years ago. So it makes a whole lot of sense. So unfortunately, we are pretty much at the end of our time, and I know there's so much more juicy information in there. Tell our listeners again, once more, how they can connect with you and how they can connect with this information.
Yeah, go to whyinstitute.com, whyinstitute.com. And then again, first step, just go discover your why. That'll connect you with us. That'll start you getting more information. I have a podcast. You'll get podcasts with people that have your why, so you can see how their why is played out in their life. You can also go to LinkedIn and find me there, Dr. Gary Sanchez, or Why Institute would be fine. And I'd love to be able to share this with you. Velma, you can always help them as well discover their why, their why operating system. You can take them through that process. You're already qualified and do a great job with that. So that would be another great place to start.
Perfect. So thank you again for coming and sharing your time with our entrepreneurs and this show. I was super stoked when I knew that you were going to be the person I was interviewing today. Maybe because I do have that familiarity with you. One of the things I did not say that I wanted to make sure that I said was that I want our entrepreneurs to notice that your Y operating system did not contain contribute, but your organization, without a doubt, does contribute and make a huge difference for the people that it connects with. And so you don't have to have contribute in your why to be a contribution.
Totally
So
agree.
thank you so much for spending your time with us. I totally appreciate it. And thank you, listeners, for spending your time with us, your precious time with us. I hope you found value in this information. And be sure to hit that like button. We love those 5-star reviews. And make sure you hit Facebook, Heartrepreneurs with Terri Levine, and you'll be able to connect with more heart-based entrepreneurs just like you. Thanks, and have a great day.
You've been listening to Heartrepreneur Radio, maximizing your personal and business results by leading with your heart with your host, Terri Levine. This show is produced every week for your enjoyment and education. To make sure you never miss a single show, add us to your favorite RSS feed or subscribe in iTunes. You can also read Terri's latest blog posts at www.heartrepreneur.com/blog or follow Terri on Twitter at MentorTerri and on Facebook.com/Heartrepreneur Terri Levine. Your questions and comments are always welcome and appreciated. Send them to Terri on either Facebook or Twitter. Thank you for listening.